Thank you for joining us for today's Meet the Maker. I am joined by Angela, the small business owner of AngleAh Jewelry Shop. Angela, tell us more about your jewelry business.
Yeah, sure. So I pretty much got started, it's been about 10 years, maybe a little bit more than that now. Um, I started making necklaces for myself, and when I would go out with friends and stuff, people would ask me about them. And they're like, "Oh, do you sell those?" And that was like right around when Etsy was starting to get kind of big. And they would ask me if I sell them, and I told them no, but I have thought about it. So I started looking into it. And then once I actually started my business, I started making other necklaces other than the ones that, mine were a little bit more flashy, a little bit more frilly, but I started making other ones that were a little bit more basic and the ones that I made. When I started out, I was actually using a lot of reclaimed pieces. So I would use buttons and like old brooches and stuff like that, military pins, things like that to make things. And then that's kind of where my motto or tagline for my shop came from, which is a vintage find to one of a kind. It has evolved a lot since then. I started doing cufflinks and men's accessories, suit accessories, stuff like that. And that actually then started implementing the 3D modeling and 3D casting, which kind of evolved into doing 3D and also implementing that with the reclaimed stuff. So the next thing on my bench is going to be taking that 3D stuff and then also adding gemstones and stuff to it too as well. So that's the next step of AngleAh.
Cool. And so you mentioned a few things about using reclaimed pieces and using 3D printing. But just to talk about the basics, what are
Yeah.
some of the basic tools you use to create jewelry?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. So there's different like stages or tiers, I would say, of like the things that I make in my shop. The most basic tools I would say I would use, which you can just pick up at like Michael's or probably even Joanne Fabrics, I think. But they are, like needle nose pliers, what's called flush cutters, which are little snippers, but they cut like flush, so you have like a straight edge on everything. And I would say the other thing, like basic things, are hammers. So like I have probably 7 different types of hammers that I use for like texturing, for flattening things, for rounding things out, that kind of thing. And then from next tier up would be getting into the more advanced tools, I would say, which would be like using a torch and using things like metal smithing tools that are a little bit more advanced, like I said. But it's also one of those things where it takes it to a different level of where you actually have to take training and safety courses to use them, because of the fact that yes, you're using an open flame, you're using chemicals, stuff like that. So um you have to take classes and stuff, and to learn how to handle them better than just diving right in. So, but I'd have to say the biggest thing that I use the most is what's called a flex shaft tool. And that thing it's kind of like going between the basics and the advanced. So flex shaft tool is kind of like a Dremel tool, but it's like Dremel tool 2.0. You can sand, you can drill, you can grind things with it, and it's really good. I don't think if I didn't have that thing, I wouldn't be able to do any of the work I do, honestly. So
Cool. Thanks for sharing with us the tools you use. And so one of the things I want to talk more about is how you use 3D printing. Because here at the library, we have a 3D printer. And a lot of people are always like, what can I do with 3D printing? And the answer to that is a lot of things. And so I love being able to talk about like real life examples of that. So, how do you use 3D printing with your jewelry? Can you tell us like what that process actually is like?
So when I first was introduced to 3D printing, obviously it was with the filament printers where it's a lot more a larger scale, but with the custom pieces and stuff that I do, it's a lot more intricate and small. Um, I actually use what's called a resin printer, and it's a lot different than what you have at the library, I'm sure. And
Mhm.
I use there's a few 3D programs that I've used in the past to do like my designs and stuff. um, I have I have been trained, and I took schooling for how to use Autodesk Maya. And when I first got my first job in the 3D industry, I actually had to convert over to 3D Studio Max, and that's what I've been using a lot for my 3D printing, just because of the fact that you can have in 3D Studio Max, you can have modifiers on top of things. So you can do like a basic model, and then you can put like a what's called a smooth on it
Mhm.
to make it smooth and look nice for 3D printing. With my printer, I can actually get pretty small. Like I can do almost like a 20 millimeter piece with high detail with the resin printing. That's actually the program I used a lot until recently. I have been trying to move over to Blender and Tinkercad a lot, just for the fact that Blender is open source,
Mhm.
and I can do a lot more with it than with 3D Studio Max. So that's where that's going. But once I do get the design and then get it 3D printed, I can then take it and make a mold. And right now I'm using what's called Delft clay. You can put the 3D model that you've printed into Delft clay, and then it makes a recessed reverse mold pretty much for you to pour um, liquid metal or molten metal into it, and that creates the jewelry. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I use it.
Cool. And so I do want to quickly emphasize for our viewers who are listening to this and hearing how cool it is. You're using liquid metal, so there is a
Yes.
safety risk there, right?
Absolutely. This is another one of those things that specifically, a lot more than, you know, using the torch and stuff that I mentioned earlier. This particular type of work is highly, highly, you need to be trained. You
Yeah.
need to take courses to be able to do this safely, and to make sure that you don't, you know, hurt yourself, you don't hurt others, or you don't end up like burning your house down. Which, by the way, a lot of the villages and the suburbs in the area do not allow for any of this type of stuff to be done in a residential area. So it is something that would have to be done according to a code of ordinance, which is usually in an industrial area, but it doesn't really exist in like the village of Addison and its surrounding areas. So
Yeah.
that's also something to be considering.
Yes. Yeah, so for all of our viewers, do your research, uh get properly trained.
Yes.
um but for those who might be interested in just understanding the concept, you can use those 3D prints for molds with like clays and other much safer materials
Yes.
that don't require, melting metal.
One of the things that the viewers might be interested in is there's a um, there's a product called Easy Mold. It's a one of the two piece or two part like silicone mold that you push all the two pieces together, and then it sets.
Yeah.
You can actually take your 3D printed piece and push that into that, and then you can cast colored resin in it. That
Yes.
might be something that you could look into, because then you have the 3D print and you have the mold as well. That's something that I have done in the past. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard a few fabricators do that where they do the 3D print and then the silicone mold and then the resin. So it's like a mold of a mold of a mold, but
Yeah,
it
but you
gets
can get a lot more cooler like colors, and you can
yeah,
put stuff in the resin where with the 3D printed piece you can't do that. It's just a straight color. It's just, like the ones that I have, they're just straight like black. You can't do anything with that.
yeah,
Where when you do it with resin, you can add, glitter. You can add I have these powders that give it like an iridescent car paint look to it too.
yeah,
So there's a lot of more freedom with that for sure.
yeah. And then to go back to talk a little bit about the printers. So you
Mhm.
have a resin printer and we have an FDM printer here at the library. So for our viewers, the kind of difference between that, an FDM printer takes filament that we call PLA. It's a starch-based low melting point plastic, and it builds layer by layer. And one of the nice things about it is it's extremely safe to use, and it's a relatively like beginner friendly material, but it has a low melting point, so it can't be used for like resin casting or other types of casting, and it also does not get the good detail that a resin printer would get. And so the resin printer uses liquid resin, and it shoots LEDs to harden the resin, and create those really detailed prints. Unfortunately, here at Addison, we don't have a resin 3D printer yet, but it is on our wish list for a couple years from now. So check back in like 2025. um, we talked a little bit about beginner tools and software. Are there any tips you want to give our viewers who might want to get started in jewelry making?
So one of the things that I would suggest to people is if they go like start doing jewelry is to not get overwhelmed. Jewelry is a very saturated area of like crafting and stuff. And if you try and compare yourself to other people who maybe have been doing it for years, you're gonna, kind of feel like you're not, you might lose faith. But I I have to say, don't do that. Don't compare yourself to others. Start where you are. Everybody has to start somewhere. And it could take a lot of years for you to evolve. Like with my shop, I've been doing it for, however many years, but it has evolved with me. And you might start out with, doing 3D printed resins or maybe even just beading or something, but it might evolve. It does take a lot of years to figure out well, not a lot of years, but it does take a while when you first get started to figure out what works for you and where you are as a creator. So I would say, start off like tinkering around and see what really sparks for you. Some people like beading, some people like wire wrapping, some people like creating things like I do with reclaimed pieces. But I would say practice your craft, and then you'll start to become a more amazing creator. And over time, it'll just become what it is. I really feel like when I first started, I was looking at other people's stuff. Like I know that back in the day there was a lot of people doing similar to what I was doing, and I was comparing my stuff to theirs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll never be that good. But that they had been doing it for years. And I really wish somebody would have said this to me when I first started. Don't compare your stuff to someone who's been doing it, because you'll be that person at some point if you keep working at your practice and keep pushing yourself and learning new things and stuff like that. So I think that's what is most important.
So this year's International Women's Day campaign is Embrace Equity. What does that mean to you?
I think equity is very important. I think it's something that every woman and everyone should embrace. Um, we have been pushed for years and generations to fit into a specific mold, and I do not agree with that at all. I think that we all should not try and fit into any mold that isn't right for anyone except for what is best for you. Everyone is different mentally, emotionally, physically, everything. And if we shouldn't try and be something that we aren't just to please others. Be who you are and do what makes you happy. That's what really matters. No matter, people could tell you, oh, you really should be like this. Don't listen to them. Be who you want to be, who you are. I think that's what's really important about equity.
Angela, it was so great to talk to you about your career as a jeweler and the process you use. I hope this has inspired our viewers to explore jewelry making and to think about unique ways of using 3D printing. For those interested in 3D printing, we recommend using Thingiverse for free pre-made models, or Tinkercad if you want to get into the beginning of 3D modeling software. Links for those websites can be found in the description of this video. You can also find a link to Angela's business, AngleAh, in the description. Have a nice day and thanks for joining us.